Okay, I am here with Hugo Templeman, who is the person who is in charge of the clinic that I've been taking you through for the last couple of days. I wanted you to meet Hugo and let him give you an overview of what he has achieved so far and what his vision is for the future. So Hugo, tell me all.
Well, all is a lot. Ndlovu Care Group, South African NGO working in Limpopo, one of the provinces in the northern part. 48% unemployment, 53% of the people live below the poverty line, so a lot to be done. A township is an accumulation of little houses where people live, but there is no economic input. There are no shops, there's no infrastructure. And Ndlovu has long time ago decided to make what we call integral development plan, whereby we focus not only on healthcare, but especially on youth care and youth development. We build and construct infrastructure, and we do a lot of research. That is what we do. We started in 1994, so this year 25 years of the organization. We started, the two of us, my wife Liesje and I work now over 180 stable jobs are created and people work there. Accent is on the double epidemic of TB and HIV/AIDS, and a lot of the childcare is as a result of it. Children without parents, children who were infected or affected by HIV, and came in misery. And the misery varies from growing up without parents to being raped, being criminal, being a drug abuser, being an alcohol abuser. All problems which should not be part of youth and youth development. Where do we want to go? In the next 25 years, because we think big and we think long, and Ndlovu Care Group would like to continue with this model of integral development, whereby it is help to self-help. So we don't want to create a dependency. We want to create that with the support we give you, you finally can become sustainable and contribute to your own satisfaction of life, which has to go from survival into building up a life with a future. And if we can give the children of today that face, that future, and that voice, then they can express themselves and grow into beautiful, sustainable, responsible and healthy South Africans who are going to manage the next generation.
So tell me a little bit about the choir.
The choir is started as an healing group, as healing for children who are living with scars. And if those scars are literal scars from wounds or from the damage, criminality, rape, or all those other issues just mentioned do to you, we want to give those children life skills support and training. But if you can't change their environment and you tell them how they must live better, they will be bored after 3 times and they say, yeah, it doesn't bring me anything. So Ndlovu Care Group has developed a set of programs from sports to choir to drama, arts, culture, which keeps those kids busy in a field that they are interested in and in a field that they can enjoy. And that enjoyment is important, because then we can infuse that with those life skills who we want to train those kids on. And that choir is such an excellent choir that it is now on world platforms. It has recently performed in Los Angeles, it's now in Germany. This year we go to Kuwait. We have created for those youth who grew a bit older 6 sustainable jobs. The choristers get paid these days. And not because we want to, but because we think it is their right. Yeah. Because they sing that money together, and they should get a sustainable income out of that, so that it brings them further as well. So from a youth and child program, it is developing into a sustainable professional program, whereby the youth still get what they need, and that is the practice and the discipline of the older choristers. Nothing is better than being trained by a peer and a role model. Mm-hmm. And those elder choristers are getting a sustainable job out of it, which brings them further. And I think that is a perfect way of bringing that circle around, whereby from victim of whatever has scarred them, they become superheroes who are applauded. And I think that is an example which we do not only want to continue with the choir, but also want to do with sport. We want to do it with drama, arts and culture, so that we can give more children that self-esteem, that they can grow out of their poverty by the talents they have.
Perfect. What about the program that you've got for disabled children?
If you are living in a double poverty of individual poverty and societal poverty, and you are then a handicapped child, there's nothing. In fact, you're double screwed, sorry for the word. And those parents are handicapped in their development and looking after the family because that child demands care in 24 hours a day. So we have opened community rehabilitation programs, which means daycare, where we invite the parents as well, so that we have an occupational therapist who diagnoses the child and makes a therapy plan. We have community health workers trained in disabled care, who are the hands of the occupational therapist in doing the therapies.
Yep.
And they train the parents. And then with the parents and the child, we go home in the home setting and we change the household so that it is adapted, that there is a safe bed, that there are rails on the wall, that there are little ramps so that a wheelchair can go in, or a walking aid can be facilitated, so that the quality of life we provide in the disability care centers can also be taken into the home situation. And then one of the most important things starts, and that is that the child is accepted by the community. And often in African culture, a disabled child is seen as a punishment from the ancestors or a punishment for the person or whatever. And we must take those stigma away, so that that family gets the support and the respect from the community it deserves. So it's it's a holistic approach in the care of disabled children.
Okay. Also, if you could speak a little bit about the research that you're doing on the AIDS project.
Look, a very wise man once said to me, if you haven't described it, you haven't done it. So if you're having programs where other people can learn from, you must model them and you must describe them. Then you have proof, you have evidence-based models which other people can take into their communities, adapt it according to their needs and take it. That's one part of the research. The other part of the research is that HIV is still a scourge in our country, with a possible, with an approximate, I must say, 350 deaths a day and around about 350 to 400 new cases per day.
Right.
That means that we don't have the epidemic under control. Too many people turn HIV positive and too many people still die of HIV/AIDS. And I think that with prevention studies, how can we prevent turning from negative positive? We can contribute a lot to HIV in our area, but also globally and in our own region. Africa is where the HIV epidemic takes place. And we do that together with partners from the Netherlands. Academic Medical Center in Utrecht is a partner from us. Together with a university in South Africa, so that's academically well underbuilt, so that it is not research for the research, but research because the outcomes must change, guidelines must change policies, and must have a positive impact on managing the epidemic. So those studies are incredibly important, and we hope that in the future, because this year, 2019. The first 2 patients have been presented who are really cured of HIV. It's fantastic if that happens in Europe and America, but it should happen and become available in Africa. At this moment, too complicated, too difficult and too costly, but that was what we said 20 years ago with treatment as well, and now we've got millions of Africans on HIV treatment. So we have built a research center which we finally want to take from prevention and improved care and treatment to cure, and see that we can finally in 1 or 2 generations get rid of HIV.
And how do you fund the charity?
That's a very difficult one. If a charity delivers services for the community who cannot provide for their own, you create a dependency on donations. And I'm not ashamed of that, because it's a sustainable way of funding an organization, creating jobs, and you must keep respect and not create that dependency.
Yep.
So we have international organizations who are helping us, and we want to extend on that as much as possible,
Yep.
so that we can, for more communities, make more available.
Okay. So if people wanted to donate physical cash, how would they do that?
www.ndlovucaregroup.com is our website.
Okay.
There are donation buttons, and it goes very easily.
Perfect.
And if it could be in different means, we have an organization in the Netherlands who helps us. We have an organization in Germany who helps us, and maybe we must start an organization in England who can help us.
Yes.
I think that look, the good thing of our lean organization is that if a pound or a guilder or a euro is given, it comes at its place. There is very little overhead. In fact, there is 6% of overhead on the total donations. That means that every penny given comes for the target it is meant.
Yep.
And that is a principle which we would like to continue working with.
And transparency?
We are governed by a board. We have a Ndlovu Care Group is a trust, registered as a non-profit organization, registered as a public benefit organization. There is a board, internationally compounded, Dutch people and South African people, who are looking at the governance and our risk profiles. We have 3 accountants sitting on our paperwork and bookkeeping, and annually we are audited. I think it is a very transparent process what we are having.
Perfect. So, for the future, what do you see? How do you envisage 25 years in the future? What do you see the care group? Where do you see the care group?
Well, what I think the most important thing is that the care group stays a bit the thorn in the skin. We are a civil society watchdog, which looks critically at the developments what the government must do, because a lot of our work is government work. But we don't only want to criticize them; we also want to deliver models to them, models of care who they can copy and paste and copy and paste and copy and paste, so that more communities can benefit from this. I think that is the most important thing. We do not want to start in those 25 years only parallel programs and pointing at government that they don't perform and that they do not provide the services, but we want to set up models so that we can assist, because finally social development remains a responsibility of a government and not only of the NGOs.
Yep.
But I think the situation is so grave in South Africa that they will not manage to do so in the next 10-20 years. There must become a complete redistribution of its wealth. There must be a complete makeover and makeover of infrastructure from government's side to provide those services. And at this stage, I don't think South Africa can deliver it. So we continue to need that foreign assistance to enable NGOs in South Africa to do the work. But the work needs to be done by South Africans for South Africans.
Yeah. So, in a perfect world, would you say that you would want to have what you've achieved at the clinic, and then take that and put that in different areas?
Yes.
How much would it cost to set that up?
All right.
Roughly.
To build it is not a problem.
Yep.
But to maintain it and pay for the operational cost is a problem.
Okay.
If I see that at this stage, Ndlovu Care Group has an annual budget of around about 80 million rand, which is around about 5-6 million euros.
Okay.
If we could triple that on an annual basis, then we can make so much available for communities who want to assist themselves.
Yep.
And if we have reached that point, and that is a sustainable stream of income, we will look at the next 50 million, because I think there is so much to be done.
Yep.
That we can grow, and we should love to grow, because there is so much need and there are so many children who are in dire straits in this country.
How much does the program cost for the disabled children?
We are just building a unit that is around about 220,000 euros for the construction of the unit, which can host around about 50 children.
Yeah.
And it has an annual cost of around about, now I must quickly count because I know the figures in rent. Per annum on operational cost, that unit will cost 150,000 euros.
Okay.
And that are consumable portions still. It's a lot of money, but if you see that for that amount, 50 households, 50 communities,
Yep.
and 50 children are perfectly helped
Yep.
within the circumstances they live, then I think it is a very fantastic investment.
Perfect. Right, guys, you've heard it here. I'm going to set a target that we need to raise 150,000 euros from the XRP community, and I think if I gave it, we'll give it 6 to 9 months and see where we are. And so I'm going to ask everybody to put their hands in their pockets. Hugo and I are talking about setting up the Twitter and the XRP tip bot, and I will get him on the exchange so that he can receive donations as well. So I will sign off for now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the interview.
That's all right. And I will speak to everybody soon.